I wanted to focus most of our time on this Jeremiah Smith guy and what he needs to do to get better, develop, improve, hold down his spot. So maybe we need to focus on him, Pat.
Yeah, we could do a whole show on Jeremiah Smith, I think. It's crazy. I was talking to some of our other Big Ten 247 outlets, specifically our Illinois guys, when we were at Big Ten Media Days, because Ohio State goes there this year. And one of the things they said was like, we're just excited to see Jeremiah Smith play in person. Like after seeing him, he's gotten bigger this offseason, which I didn't know was possible. After seeing him live, just interviewing him, they were like, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. And that's the kind of player that he is. I said it after that Michigan State game last year where he had the first of those one-handed catches. Like, not to tout Ohio State any more than they need to be. That's not my job. But if Jeremiah Smith is coming into your stadium, get excited. This is a guy who is just different. It's like when LeBron comes to town, or when Tom Brady, guys that you just want to see, Peyton Manning. And I know it's only been 1 year, and a year ago when we did this show, I was very much trying to pump the brakes on Jeremiah Smith. Ohio State's had a lot of great receivers, right? And most of them hadn't had big freshman seasons. Maybe the latter half of the freshman year, they started to come on. And then it was that sophomore year when Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, all those guys kind of came on in that second year. Jeremiah Smith, game one last year. You could see right away that he was going to be a big part of this Ohio State offense, and B, was going to make an impact. He had 6 catches for 92 yards against Akron and 2 touchdowns. That's his college debut. And I know you'll say it's Akron, people out there, but that's still a college program for a true freshman playing his first game in the first possible week to do it. This offseason, he has said it multiple times, the focus was just on getting better. He had to kind of navigate the growing fame throughout last season and into this offseason, which I think is kind of a challenge in and of itself. But he was focused on football and what can he do to get better. There were videos of him training down in South Florida, training with different guys. Obviously, he's worked with Ohio State. And what do you do to get better after you have not only one of the best freshman wide receiver seasons in Ohio State history, but one of the best individual receiving seasons in Ohio State history? He's in the top 5 in single season receptions, yards, and touchdowns. I might be a little bit off there, but they're certainly all impressive numbers with 76 catches, 1,315 yards, and 15 receiving touchdowns. The last of which, in terms of the receptions, sealed the national championship. So I don't know what it looks like. I don't think anyone, if they tell you they know what a second season with Jeremiah Smith looks like, they're lying to you. But he's tried to get better. He's tried to work on those little things. He said last year he was just kind of playing off feel, but he thinks he can play faster this year because he understands the game more. Now, how do teams defend him? Is it that, they try what Texas did in the college football playoff semifinal and just let's cover him, let's put 2 guys on him, let's shade coverage that way, and if Ohio State's other receivers beat us, so be it. In that game, Carnell Tate benefited. That could be one way. Do they just, try and put your best corner on him and live with it and cover the rest of the Buckeyes? Maybe. It's not unrealistic to say Biletnikoff, Heisman Trophy finalist type of season for Jeremiah Smith. He is that good, and this is coming from someone who usually would not say that about a second-year player.
Yeah, otherwise we might be talking more Carnell Tate.
Yeah.
But like you did mention, against Texas, he paid off as a second option that became the main option from a wide receiver standpoint. 52 catches, 4 touchdowns. And then Brandon Inniss, much has been expected of him since he was recruited and signed, certainly. So that seems to be 1, 2, and 3. I would think that there needs to even be a 4th guy, even though typically 3 guys are on the field. And there's plenty of talent in Mylan Graham and Bryson Rogers and all sorts of guys to fill those other spots. So how do you think they're going to line up?
Yeah, I think you've got it. I think it'll be Carnell Tate as the other wide receiver, or the wide receiver out wide, and Brandon Inniss at the slot. Bryson Rogers, I think, is someone interesting. He started the spring game, and I've been told you don't necessarily need to read into that in terms of anything, but it also wasn't because Brandon Inniss's shoe was untied or something like that. He earned the right to play and start that game. I think week 1 against Texas, it'll be Brandon Inniss in the slot, but I think Bryson Rogers can certainly give you something different. They're built different, play different games. But you do, and I wonder with Brian Hartline, he hasn't done it in quite some time, but do you see more of a rotation with the guys you mentioned, Mylan Graham? Quincy Porter is another one, a freshman who looked really good in the spring. Could he get some time in there? The thing with Brian Hartline has always been, if you're going to come on the field for somebody, you better be able to do everything that they can do. And that's pretty tough to do when you're talking about Ohio State's starting receivers. Carnell Tate, a guy who people, kind of said, was an afterthought last year behind Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka. He still caught 52 passes for 733 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think most third receivers would kill for those numbers, right? So he is a guy, as you said, the Texas game showed what he could do. Also had the Northwestern game. I think Nebraska, he had some good numbers as well. I think he will have much more opportunities this year. And then Brandon Inniss has just patiently waited his time. Emeka Egbuka, I don't think many people expected that he would be back for his senior year when Brandon Inniss signed with the Buckeyes a couple years ago. But Brandon Inniss has stuck with it, continued to get better. When he's had opportunities, he's made the most of them, including a couple times in the playoffs this past season. So this is his opportunity to shine. He's, depending on which service you look at, a 4 or 5 star kid coming out of high school and a guy that they've been excited about for a while. I think that's your probably main trio. And then you've got some of those other guys I mentioned. Not a bad receiving core for whichever quarterback wins this job.